Anyway, sorry.
And speaking of gaseous expulsions.
Oh my.
World of Warcraft.
Oh.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Server Restart In. It is a weekly World of Warcraft podcast hosted by three opinionated players who like to get together to discuss their current,
Thoughts and prayers of the game.
Yep. My name is Jim. I'm joined by Kristen.
Hello.
And Brian.
Hi.
And I'm not even going to try and fix it. Fuck it. I don't even care. It's as is.
That's the funnest part.
That's what we are. We are raw.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
We're raw and real.
Oh, okay.
We embrace our mistakes.
Our flaws.
Yeah, our flaws. It makes us who we are.
What are we talking about today?
I have absolutely nothing. There are a couple of like books and stuff that were announced and whatnot. There's a tarot deck.
Did you pre-order yet?
I haven't pre-ordered yet. I'm going to though.
A tarot deck?
There's a tarot deck, yeah. Apparently it's got all like never before seen like artwork and stuff like that. So it's just a deck of tarot cards, but it's all new artwork and stuff. So that's kind
of weird.
Yeah, it's weird that they'd all of a sudden just be coming out with a tarot deck.
Yeah, only because like tarot doesn't really have any real connection with World of Warcraft. You know,
No.
Like if it was like Final Fantasy, there's a class that kind of
but
has a deck type thing, so it would make sense.
What is tarot? What is it based on? Like I don't like
tarot is like the card reading, like the fortune teller shit. Like tarot.
No, I know that, but like, what do they base their fortune telling on? Is it like the wax and waning of the moon?
No, it's a random shuffle of the deck, and what's dealt. The cards have meanings. So in the way they have ascribed meanings to what is on the card,
right?
And so when you draw the deck and you lay it out in a certain pattern, what card gets put there means something, and the orientation can change it and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's
what tarot is.
Yes, we know that. That wasn't what he was asking.
Yes, it is.
Well, no, it partially explains what I was asking. Like more so, like, does it have anything to do with the cosmology chart or whatever? Because it's on the cover of it on Amazon.
Yeah, it's
like that light and dark and void
says,
and
maybe it's a WoW because it just says that it's got a guidebook filled with card meanings. So I don't know if it's standard tarot or if it's WoW lore meaning.
Maybe they're going to introduce a new class and it's going to be some sort of tarot type thing.
That would be a very fucking cool way to introduce it.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way
to put like fortune tellers in the game or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't say if it's standard tarot or whatnot, but
they could make it a new support class, right? Like because they're talking about So right now, augmenters are the only support class, and they're blah blah blah. There's various discussions on whether or not they should be in. Blah blah blah. Maybe
let's pause on that for a second, real quick. It does. Did those classes actually work out? Did that class? There's no classes. That one particular role.
I mean, it works out.
Did that actually work out?
It works out for the people who can play it.
So,
and some classes benefit from it, some classes do not. So you know what I mean? Feels like kind of a crapshoot, right? If you have the perfect group that can play. I mean, you look at some of those MDI, right? I haven't watched the MDI, so I don't actually know if they all used like augmenter evokers or not. But you look at some of the people who are doing high tier stuff and they're like, yeah, we need an augmentation evoker because they use them to great effect. If
are they slotted as heals or DPS then?
DPS.
They are DPS.
They are DPS. Okay. We, I think, didn't have as much of a benefit with the Augmentation Evoker when we were running that, just because our classes, I don't think, benefited as much as some of the other ones. Did they have them in them?
Did they do less DPS to offset the difference?
Do.
Yes.
Oh.
And so, like, I think Details has started taking into account what it estimates now. It shows their actual DPS, and then there's like a little like lighter like transparency bar that extends it that shows like what their impact
they're contributing.
Yeah. Like it describes it so that you can kind of see what they're actually doing. So
they're like buffing everybody else, and then like those numbers are essentially like if they weren't there, they wouldn't be there, and therefore like that's really a part of their DPS too.
Yeah. Yes, but part of that is knowing as an Augmentation Evoker, knowing when people's cooldowns are, or communicating, hey, this cooldown is coming off. Maybe make sure that the Ebb and Might buff is up for this because this is going to be a big cooldown for me. It's knowing a lot of when people are using their cooldowns and to get more effect from those cooldowns, right? And then
that's really interesting.
I
guess I could see like where in a 5-man run that might be a little bit more complex, or like you might get less out of that. Is that true?
It depends on
does it really
the comp.
require more people to like? Oh, okay.
Because
on the composition.
I don't know how Augmenter works. I've never played it, so I don't know if you have to. I know they have some things that are direct, like AOE like buff type things, but they also might have direct ones where you have to specifically target a character. So like you have to know who gets what. It's kind of like Power Word Infusion maybe from or Power Infusion or whatever like the priest shit is that like buffs people and stuff like that. But I'm looking, there's this site called Archon, and they bought a bunch of shit. It's a data aggregate site, and it's got the rankings for DPS right now for the affixes for this week, which is Fortified, Entangling, and Bolstering. So for Mythic Plus DPS from like 20s to 32, Augmenter is just below Fire Mage, but they're both like S tier or whatever. Oh. It's that stupid tiering thing or whatever. And then if we go to last week and look at that, they're still up there. So I mean, yeah, in Mythic Plus keys they are high. In Mythic raids they're lower. Where are they? They are. Why do I not see it? What is the icon? Are they even on here? They have to be on here. Oh yeah, they're B tier, so they're not as good at raids. And if you go down to heroic, they're even lower. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. I mean, that's just what people are playing, and yeah, I mean, so. But they had said that there wasn't really any plans for any new support classes, and I don't know if that's like going into the next expansion or if that's just like for the rest of this expansion. But yeah, so a tarot deck thing, kind of like, what's the one in Final Fantasy that uses the cards? Astrologian?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be, is that random? Or like you draw cards and then you use them?
Yeah, you draw, so it started out super random. And then they kind of iterated on it. It used to be, you had ranged caster DPS, physical DPS, melee, blah, 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 all kinds of different things for, healers got different cards and blah, blah, blah. And then it was a lot, right? There was lot of charts. And so they iterated on it. So now they just have it basically down to melee DPS is blue, ranged DPS is purple, and it's basically you get like a 6% buff to DPS based on if you put it on the correct thing, and a 3% DPS increase if you just throw it on anybody, right? So you're still getting a DPS increase. no matter what. It's just the extent of the DPS increase. And that's pretty much it now. Like, they used to have different effects. Like, you had a bowl card, which was a tank card, so you would throw it on the tank if they needed extra. But again, it was RNG, so you would hold on to it in your hand if you could, and for when they needed, a little extra bit of mitigation, or there were mana cards for you that you would use, so that way, to help your mana. But again, you could only hold 3 cards in your hand, and
I got big hands though.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was interesting. It was I enjoyed it then. I enjoy it now. I like it, but that's my healer that I heal with is the Astrologian. But
I think it would be interesting because tarot decks have major and minor arcana.
Yep.
With them, so it'd be interesting if they would do something like that, where like the minor arcana were like small buffs, but like you could get like major arcanas, and like you could also turn it into, depending on what like the artwork is and stuff like that, if they put it in the game like that, and like a major arcana could let you summon like an ad to come fight, kind of like a demonology warlock, like they can get like the Nebuchadnezzar or whatever, like the Eridar guys that come out, stuff like that, the random summons on that, and have it something like that, like you get the death card and just like a Reaper comes out and just starts chunking shit or something.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would. Cool. I mean, so I don't know if the tarot deck has anything to do with the game other than just, it says it's going to be kind of another way to experience the lore and the legends of the game, kind of thing. So, I mean,
it's just weird because there's not really any kind of lore that has been like,
I don't think it means that, like, I think it just means like another way to interact with the lore. Like, you can get like the compendiums or whatever, not the compendiums, the fucking chronicles, where it just kind of lists all the stuff. So it might just be another way. It like Hearthstone, right? Like it could essentially just basically be like a not like a Hearthstone deck, like those are built, but just like that, where it's like there's stuff on these images that bring out stuff that maybe you forgot about, like side characters or characters that like it's probably gonna have what's his name, the guy that was looking for his Mancrick's wife. Yeah, Mancrick's wife might be like Death. Watch, it's just all gonna be the jailer.
No, God.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Oh god.
And his card signifies failure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's coming out. I don't see when. Oh, November 5th. So that actually does correspond.
They're all set for like November.
Are they all?
The book was as well.
Yeah. So the book is not a book, but it is a collection of short stories, and which is fine. It's
fine.
It's not a novel.
Not like a full novel.
Yeah. But it's got a couple authors. It's like got Christy Golden. It's got the author of the War of the Scareborn.
I wonder if they still will have a novel come out then.
I don't think so, because
I guess
this
cover is probably.
Yeah. So what, like the main thing that they have talking about right now is they only talk about 4 of the short stories in there. One of them is about Anduin, and about him basically. It's after he leaves. It's gonna basically after he leaves the Shadowlands and ends up in Silithus. It's gonna be like that thing. Like he's trying to find himself and figure out all his internal shit, right? Mm-hmm. So it's that one. Then there's a story about Gazlo. He's trying to help a goblin city, and kind of how he's trying to be a better leader than what's his nuts, Gallywix, yeah. So like they go more into the depth. I'm not gonna talk about it. There's one about Thrall and his son's coming of age thing, because if you do the Orc Heritage Armor quest, he's there, and he expresses a lot of concern because both his parents are shamans. He's like, what if they're not what if the spirits don't call to me? What if I don't want to be a shaman and all that stuff? Because he's starting to have like anxiety and all that stuff about it. And like at the end of the quest, he's kind of like comforted, whatever. So this is going to be what happens with him and how Thrall's going to deal. And the other one that they talk about is going to be Illyria trying to connect with her son. Because they've been gone for 1,000 years. They're like the experience time for them, and he's grown up. Like he tried to follow them out. It's Eretor, right? I believe, yeah. Eretor. He was kind of in Legion when she came back, and when they talk and all that stuff. But like he's like an adult now. Like apparently he went to Outlands, or he was going to go out to Outlands or whatever. But like they got trapped in the Outlands when Draenor was destroyed and the portal closed. So, I guess it wasn't Outlands then when they went the first time, which isn't in WoW. Mm-hmm. The Burning Crusade is when the portal gets rebuilt, and he actually goes over there trying to find them and stuff like that. But they're not there at that point because they are off fighting with the Army of Light. So those are just 4 of the stories. So I'm interested in that. I like short stories. Especially like this is going to be a collection of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree actually. I'd rather it be a bunch of short stories rather than like one big one that gets fluffed up just to like help.
Yeah.
Prove a point or sell a story or something.
It depends on what the novel is. You know what I mean? Like some things need a full a full story to really convey it because there's a lot going on there. Like I think the one with like Kalia and stuff like that. And again, we've had this discussion before about how like they take all this good story shit and put it in a book instead of putting it in game.
Yeah.
And that sucks a lot. Like some of these things, like these seem
you know what the shitty part is? It's not that it sucks so much. It sucks. Okay, sorry, correction. You're right. It does suck. But it sucks because it's primary story.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they could be out like contracting other people to fill out the fucking world stories all over the place, right? Give me a fucking book about that fucking named pig in, what is it called?
Peppa?
Not Northshire. Peppa Pig. Give me a fucking book about Peppa Pig so I can understand these muddy fucking puddles, all right?
So
that's a Peppa Pig reference.
Sorry,
like you know what I'm talking about though, like
Blanchy.
It's like questing.
There's a book about Blanchy.
Yes. Which I think is a great one. Holy shit.
That might already.
I was gonna say, wasn't that a thing because it explained like why Blanchy is.
That was in game though. I think.
Was it in game?
I think they had some stuff because.
That was a really good quest line though, right?
Yeah, it was,
it's stuff like that that could be fleshed out into a great story to read about, and people don't have to go be like, oh god, like to tie it together, I really have to go read this thing. No, you just get to go live in the world in a different way, right? This is kind of like it shadows or mirrors my argument for having a persistent world, right? Where things are a bit more fleshed out, or the quests are more down to earth, or the venture's more in the quest itself than like being a fucking god inside the game. Like, make a fucking story. And there's plenty of, like, Star Wars did this with the extended universe, is what it was called back in the day before Disney.
Yeah.
They had, hundreds or thousands of books made by different authors with the because you could do a whole lot of shit. Small constraints, whole lot of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
To create a story. And so, like, and that's like if you go to a role-playing realm that's not full of erotic roleplay, you have these people making up these, you know what I mean? These event stories-driven role-playing sessions that like create unique things, and it's already there. Why not fucking do it? We don't need a fucking big-ass novel to tell a story that we should be learning about in the game anyways. I will say though, like for the Sylvanas one, I did enjoy that, and so like kind of a hypocrite there, but I really don't know how to like balance it out.
the problem with like the Sylvanas thing, right, is like with Kalia and all that stuff, and she killed a bunch of the Forsaken and whatnot. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that other races weren't involved with that. It was humans and it was Forsaken, right? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a Horde or Alliance thing. It was very specific. They could have put you in there as either a Forsaken or as a, like, tell the story, like how they did with Riku, the monkey, in Panda, where you have to where they tell the stories about how they captured Anduin, and you play as the sniper and you play as the what's wrong with your Ukin face? That thing. Like, you could do
it. The Duker.
Yeah, you could do stories like that where you experience in game, and it puts you into the shoes of whoever you're talking to, who was there, right?
Oh, that's so great. That's a great example.
Because they're telling you, like, they could have wrote a book about that, but maybe not, because that kind of happened in the game, like after like the launch. So a lot of these stories are used to tell things that happen between expansions. But why not make the end of an expansion, like the pre-patch area, make it a little bit longer, but put in a bunch of quest content that covers all this shit? Like, I mean, that helps with your what's it called, content drought. If you start incorporating that stuff in there like that as quest lines with the story.
But now you got to step into Kristen's shoes, and so they're feeding people for season 4 who pay to play the game in the hardcore way. So they're catering to the people, not the people that want the content or the stories or anything like that. Right. They don't want that. They want the raids and the next gear drop.
I'm not saying, okay, season
Jim,
4.
I'm trying to help her step into the conversation. We got to have a balance here. The fuck Blizzard perspective.
Oh, you're trying to elicit an F Blizzard?
I mean, you don't have to try that hard to do that, honestly.
No, but so redoing those raids, they've already got that down. They figured that out in Shadowlands. It's not going to be that much work. You just bump up some numbers on some fucking gear, and you add it in. You could set that up at the beginning before you even release the expansion, and it's already there, for the most part.
Yeah.
So you could put some more time and money into, like, putting in some of these things. It's not to say that these books aren't good. They're still good books, right? But I do think that even though the one that's coming out, The Voices Within, does pertain to main characters, they are not necessarily like questable things, right? It's kind of like something like Thrall and his son. That's going to be something that you're not really going to be involved with. You know what I mean?
Well, it's so weird too. Like that. Take that one for example. Like, have we actually dealt with Thrall's son at all?
The Orc Heritage quest line.
Is it
for the armor? Yeah.
Oh.
We literally just talked about that.
Sorry.
Wow.
I literally just told you that.
Literally just talked about
sorry.
that. Like, dang.
That's okay. Oh. It's not a lot. And I don't think we deal with his family a lot.
Well, it's annoying because, again, it goes with the same theory as before with the full-fledged novel. Like, don't go fluff a story just for the sake of having something there.
Right.
I think...
And even with the Orc Heritage stuff like that, case in point, like, I haven't done it, so then, like, it wasn't up front and center, and so now it's a focal point of this part of the story. Is it really worth
it's not
telling from that perspective?
I think what they're trying to show is that all the leaders and stuff like that are grasping with stuff inside, because it's called The Voices Within, right? So eventually it's going to end up with them. Don't fucking do that. It's going to be dealing, because they're going to start hearing Azeroth again, or whatever the fuck it is that's talking to them. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to start with that stuff. And
I like the idea that the story, like, these are topics that are more low level. They're not like cosmic things. You know what I mean? I like the idea of that, but then like, I think that's the only one that really like threw me off because I'm like, I mean, I haven't done that quest line, so I
Well, his family's always kind of been in the background anyway. It's like Shadowlands, right? Like you go and you get him
other
back.
than his axe was thrown into the foreground.
God, when he so again, he did it again. He threw it at fucking Farrakh when
he's not smart.
I know he's not smart. When you're doing the quest to open up the raid and all that stuff, and then all like the people show up, like the mages and all that stuff, he throws his fucking axe again.
What if his axe was reforged to be Farrakh? What's it called? Farrakh?
Yeah, the
Farrakh.
Dream Render.
Yeah.
The one I still.
That'd be hilarious. And then he can't get it back because nobody can actually get it.
God.
Nobody can actually get it.
He would just have to find a different axe.
Oh God,
he's such an idiot. Like, I have an axe. You're over there. I'm not gonna run at you. I'm just gonna throw. Lok'tar Throw-gar. No, it's Lok'tar Throw-gar.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, that was terrible.
There's a blacksmith somewhere that's like sitting pretty though on a stack of gold.
He's just got him pre-made. And he just goes, man, I don't know, man. That's a rush order thrall. I mean, it's like, it's going to take me, I want to work, but it's going to be
another
all days. So it's going to be a little bit expensive. And he just comes back and he just hands it to him, doesn't do anything.
Fucking hey, dude, that guy.
Not that guy.
Yeah.
They should have wrote a story about that. His obsession with throwing axes.
That would have been interesting.
It's just him at a bar drinking and just throwing axes, like at those axe ranges.
Oh God.
I just can't help it. I just get in the moment.
He looks down. He's walking through the forest and he looks down and he sees a stone that looks like an axe head, and then he sees the sticks and goes, he puts them together and throws and goes, I don't know why I'm compelled to do this.
Oh my.
Somebody cast some sort of compulsion on him.
When does the new season start?
Well, 10.26 is coming out next month, which is the
unknown
pirate not pirate patch. And so right now, season 4 is going to be included in there. In the data, it's not going to go active though, because after 10.26 goes live, they're going to then put it on the PTR so they can start doing the testing for season 4 stuff. So probably a month after that, maybe.
The pirate not pirate patch?
Yeah, the one that on the little thing, it had the little skull and crossbones icon.
Oh.
And everybody's like, it's pirates. And then they're like, it's not pirates. But it's probably going to be pirates.
Pirates, but we just don't want you to think that it's going to be pirates.
Yeah.
Because
we want you to be surprised. So we're telling you it's not pirates, but oops, it's pirates. It's like the Crunch Bear, like oops, all Crunch Bear. It's like oops, all pirates.
Oops, all pirates. Oh,
and both scrape the top of your mouth.
Yeah.
You're bleeding.
It's like eating fiberglass. But yeah.
Anywho,
so
I was trying to find that image again of the timeline. It's amazing how far back it's actually buried.
Yeah. There was another book as well.
Because they didn't actually say like when in March that 10.26 would come out.
No, they
right?
just said in March. Sometime in March. I'm gonna guess mid-March. Because I don't think it's gonna.
I'm gonna guess a week from Tuesday.
You think it's gonna be the beginning of March?
I mean, I don't, but I want to get excited about it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the hell happens with it, you know?
Yeah.
The other book that's coming out is the 5th installment of the Exploring Azeroth series, which I didn't realize that they had that many. And it's called Islands and Isles, and it's going to basically be following around the Lystra and Lorthamar as they do some exploring and stuff like that. Oh, I guess the previous two was Northrend and Pandaria. I think the first one was the one with Matthias Shaw and the other guy.
Oh, that's right.
I think that was like the first one.
Flint,
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, okay, they did Broken Isles, Kultiris, Zandalar, Dragon Isles, and stuff like that, so... Oh, no, that's what's going to be in this one. Broken Isles, Kultiris, Zandalar, and the Dragon Isles. So, I don't know. Maybe it's like their honeymoon thing or something. I don't know. As they're exploring, because... Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So...
I like the thought of characters going out exploring the world.
Yeah.
Like getting their takes on things that happen that they weren't necessarily a part of.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. You know? Like...
Or just going out and just seeing what it's like. You know, because, I mean, you think about it, the faction barriers are starting to break down, so... When was the last time Lorthamar was in Kultiris? You know what I mean? It's like the only time he would have ever gone would have been during BFA, and that would have been as a combatant, you know? So going to some of these places and seeing them as, you know, like a peaceful journey, so to speak, as opposed to part of some war campaign.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read any of those, so I don't know if those are even any good. But I probably should. I should really go back and finish reading all the other books, because when they were talking about the short story with Anduin, they were talking about how it's kind of like analogous to how his father disappeared, but apparently he was split into two and had to find his other half, which I didn't read any of that stuff, and I don't know, is that like I forget what the name of that book was about Ren, about how he was like a fighter and all that stuff before he came back to be king and stuff. But apparently, like some like Anixia or somebody like that, like split him into like two different people, and he had to like find himself. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's only because I haven't read it. So let's see what happened. Yeah, he disappeared, and Bolvar was the regent. He was torn in two by Anixia's magic, and to save the kingdom, the two heads had to find each other and become whole. So now, like, they're kind of saying like this is kind of like what Anduin's going through, except his is more of like a spiritual split, maybe because like they stole his soul and made him the Lich King or Eighth Lich King and stuff like that. So like it's kind of like a similar thing. Like he's trying to like find himself or something. I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't know that about Varian.
I didn't either. And I don't know if that's in like that book about him or whatever. Because I'm sure that I know there's a book about him. That was after I stopped reading the books. Because like I didn't read anything about like I didn't read like the Jaina book. I didn't read anything like that. It was I don't even remember when I stopped reading. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of the only other thing I found that was kind of interesting was they have been kind of like slowly putting out like some of the hero talent trees and stuff like that. And so there's like the Oracle hero talent tree, which is for priests. And apparently it was replacing power infusion and stuff like that. Like that was like the focus of it. But apparently that there was a lot of like pushback and stuff like that. A lot of people like didn't like the way that was. So Blizzard announced that they're going to, you know, go back and revamp it and kind of rework it and stuff like that. They looked at a lot of the feedback. And then they did some play testing with the concept internally, and they said they're going to go back and revisit. So it's good that they're taking feedback from some of this stuff and not just kind of blowing it off as just, you know, angry WoW player shouts at Cloud. You know what I mean? So, I mean, at least it means that they're listening to some of the stuff. Whether it's all for all of those or not, I don't know. I haven't really looked at a lot of the discussion on it, but there are discussions on the ones that have been kind of released. So It'd be kind of interesting to see. And it's good that they're releasing this information this early because it will allow them to get some feedback on it. And this is the kind of stuff I'm okay with being released for a new expansion or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, these are the talents you're going to get. It's not going to be a surprise. And then people can weigh in on it. They can say, well, this seems like it's going to have this effect or yada, yada, yada. And, you know, as opposed to like big story beats and stuff like that, getting data mined and whatnot. So, I don't know. Oh, we timed some 20s, Mythic Keystones.
Did you?
Yeah. We actually got portals now. If you complete one, if you time a 20, you get a portal to that dungeon. And it's on an 8-hour cooldown, or it gets reset when you complete a Mythic Keystone. So that's kind of like you can just get portals to those dungeons.
That's kind of neat.
So like a
What do you
like
mean?
a one-use thing or something?
No.
I'm
No,
confused.
it goes in your general spellbook on that character.
Yep.
And you get a portal to that dungeon. So we can go to a Tal Dazar or Waycrest Manor with just a portal from our spellbook.
That's kind of cool.
And
100% gonna forget that is the thing.
yeah.
100%.
And it's an 8-hour cooldown unless you complete a dungeon, a mythic dungeon, or a keystone or whatever. Then it resets the cooldown. But yeah, it's kind of like one of like the bonus. We hit 2,500, which that gives you the appearance item that unlocks the extra shoulder and or helm appearance stuff for the current tier for all your characters. So if you look at the difference between like the heroic and the mythic versions of the current set, the mythic ones have like some of the shoulders and helms have like special more effects on them. This unlocks that effect on all the tiers.
Oh,
so
cool.
Now you get two. You can do the normal one or the effect one. Kind of like how the did you get the Lightning Rider gear with the Storm Griffin?
Yes. It was automatic, right? You didn't do anything?
You had to do a quest, I think, to get it.
Oh, you did have to do a quest.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Like those shoulders have it. Like if you go into your shoulder appearance tab, there's one without the effect and one with the effect. It's got like the lightning and stuff. So it's that, but it's for the current tier, for your tier set appearances. So, which is kind of neat. I think that's the first time I think we've done that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
kind of nifty. Oh man, it's.
Well, I haven't played, so.
Yeah.
Have you still been playing Season of Discovery, or did you kind of
fall off?
No, I think I've been off of it for
at least a week.
Yeah, a week and a half, almost 2 weeks now, probably.
Yeah.
Just kind of fell off the bandwagon again.
That's all right. It happens. It's like I'm just leveling Death Knights now.
It's so predictable for me, though. It's always the end of the expansion.
Well, but that's because you enjoy doing all the stuff. Then you do all the stuff, and then there's nothing to do. So you drop off. It's like, I don't know if, it's like rating doesn't keep your interest enough to keep you playing, which is fine. And stuff like that. And, because it is a commitment, right? A lot of the stuff that we do has time commitments to when you do it as a group, and that makes it hard to commit to. So then just coming on and just doing random stuff can get old after a while if you don't have.
It's funny because I really think it's my class, because it's so like cut and dry to a certain extent.
Which one, a warrior?
For a warrior. But I'm like, I don't really have the patience to sit and like try to get any better at. Even like I tried the warlock for a while.
That's what follower dungeons are for, right?
Yeah.
No, they're so like I'm so impatient every time I get back into one. I'm like, this is too
Come on,
slow.
AI.
It is slow. They are so slow. I will agree.
Really slow.
When you're used to going at a better, and the problem is because it is intended to be a learning dungeon for people, and so they don't go that fast, and it is what it is. So but So, yep. Hopefully, we'll have 10.2.6 soon. Hopefully, within the next week or two. That'd be nice to kind of get that out in front of us. And
when's the expansion?
I think November. Probably around November 5th, which is when all those books come out.
No, the expansion?
Is it after? Is it before? The
War Within? It was late summer.
The War Within?
I thought it was late summer.
Time to go to the Google. 2020.
I'm 5% sure they said late summer.
5%.
You're right. It is. So, So
I'm not excited about that. I think that they should not have released a date then.
Well, they don't have a date.
Well, late summer, because Final Fantasy is also releasing in the summer at some point. And so it feels like, quite honestly, it feels like those kind of games should work together. So, hey, maybe we can, let our people play instead of competing, work together.
Is it a competition?
No, because Final Fantasy is going to win.
No, but that's the thing, though, right? They're not,
for some people.
They're not concerned about the minority, the super minority of people that play both games, right? You know what I mean?
I don't think it's a super minority.
It is a super minority. I don't know. I feel that it's
actively play both games or play at the height of expansion dropping.
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying.
I don't guess it really matters, but
it looks like it's late summer, early.
I don't think they have their shit together enough to even try to work with anything else going on, to be honest.
I guess
I'd be surprised if it comes out in that time frame anyways.
I just wish the games were more consumer friendly, and you know what I mean? Hey, instead of just trying to push our blah, blah, blah. Maybe we try to, hey, make it a fun experience for our consumers. What?
Well, if they were smart, they would
they would
would tailor it around the other launches, because if Final Fantasy decides to go out, say, in August, why not ride the high of boredom that they come off of and release in October?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But at the end of the day, if you've already paid for the pre-order and you pay for a subscription, I'm not sure there's much there for them to leverage. Because they're really just trying to make sure that Sorry, go ahead.
What you guys are saying is akin to saying Ford and Chevy should coordinate the releases for their vehicles, so that
No, it's not though. It's not though. I don't know. I don't know how else. It's probably closer to having Netflix and Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And then having a really cool movie come out on the same night. There's no real win there if you're already subscribed to it.
You're splitting your.
You're talking from a consumer perspective in terms of I want to enjoy both of these things, but you were two totally different things. But from their perspective, there's no leverage there for them to latch on to make it a competitive consideration. Why would they give a fuck about anybody that gets on to play Final Fantasy at the same exact time? Other than keeping their numbers enough to make sure, because there's a level at which WoW can't be WoW if the players aren't there to play it.
Right. Well,
but it is super small though. Other than say, not even guilds like us now, because you guys have pumped up quite a bit. But even before, when it was closer to 10, and you have one person that may drop out, and then you can't do the content at that point.
Oh, no,
or it's harder to do the content. You know what I'm saying, though, right? That would be the extent I think that they would want to work within the competitive realm between games, just to ensure that their experience does not diminish because of it. But I really don't think it's probably at that point,
Yeah.
at the same time. So, and good luck trying to get them on your side. You know what I mean? To like spread releases out.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. You're not gonna have competitors in the same space coordinate their things like that.
What I'm saying is, yes, it definitely would provide a better experience, but you would also probably get more people to play, because if you have so many limited time in the day, somebody works an 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour day, then you come home and you've got, 3 hours where you can play a video game, and that's maybe being conservative because people have kids, people have families, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they don't have 3 hours. Maybe they just have an hour. You have to make an active choice. Well, do I want to play WoW or do I want to play Final Fantasy? Right? Do I want to get through this? And when you've got 2 games and they're competing, well, then they're splitting that player base. Whereas if you do it at separate times, then you're getting that entire player base. You know what I mean?
I don't think I don't think that is enough of a percentage of their population that they're worried about that. I disagree wholeheartedly with that. I think that the people that play WoW are going to play WoW.
But that could be the way it affects them. Could be like millions of players. And the reality is, if it's 5,000 players, that's still technically a lot.
Yeah.
It's not a lot from their perspective, but it's a lot in general whenever you consider like how many people
I can understand
they affect.
I can understand that as a person that plays both, that you would wish that they would do that, because it makes it easier for you to not have to choose between one or the other.
Do you fall behind in Final Fantasy like the same way? I guess you don't really fall behind in WoW, but you can fall behind in terms of like you get to max level, you start grinding, heroics for gear and stuff.
No, you don't fall behind in Final Fantasy the same way. I don't fall behind the same way. I'm not on cutting edge. I'm not doing savage raids. I'm doing just normal stuff. And basically it's collecting tombstones to get gear, right? So it's not an RNG thing. So if I don't hit my vault one week and don't get a chance at that RNG thing in WoW, yes, then potentially I'm falling behind. It doesn't happen like that in Final Fantasy because there's not really an RNG aspect to getting that gear. It's,
Gotcha.
So and you can make that up by doing other things. You make up those tomes. If I don't log in a day or a week, it's not that big a deal. More so in WoW, it is. WoW is definitely a treadmill.
I think that they've gotten better, at least as far as catch up between patches, where like each time like a new patch comes out with new content, they have a way to kind of get brought back up to at least a better entry level than it has been in the past, where you don't have to do a bunch of stuff to try and get up there. Like they make it a little bit easier, especially for rating, right? Because they put in kind of stuff so you can kind of get into like a base level for like rating content a lot quicker than trying to do keys and get like stuff out of the vault and all that stuff.
But man, if you miss the beginning of an expansion though, it's so great.
Yeah.
Like to experience with crowds of people. Like I don't know.
Well,
that would be hard.
There is another thing to be said too about that, is that at the very beginning, that's when all the bugs are. That's when all the server crashes. I mean,
that's true, but
that is when the Zeppelins crash and kill everybody on them when you're trying to go to the Dragon Isles.
That's awesome, though.
No, it is.
No, I know what you mean. I know. I'm thinking of like the soup kitchen thing, though, like where people gather around and do it, or the first world boss that's out there. All these things, and you're going to be able to keep doing those things, but there's going to be less of a crowd if you wait long enough. And so, like, if you get hyped with the crowd, then like you miss that general opportunity, right? Because you go back to those areas sometimes, like even now, it's just devastating. especially considering how just amazing it was in the beginning. So
well, part of that though is that if they had kept the world bosses that were pre-existing that came out at launch, kept their gear up to whatever the current like other bosses are doing,
yeah.
But the problem is, how do you entice people?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying they should have done that. I mean, I think it's just like in the beginning when that happens, it's just it's for whatever reason to me, it's a unique experience.
They did kind of combat that too with the aiding the Accord quest. They now made it used to just say do this. Right now you get to pick what you do, and sometimes it's go do the soup. Sometimes it's go do a hunt. Sometimes it's do the super bloom. Sometimes it's, you know what I mean? So like they're kind of like putting incentives to go back and do some of that stuff. So yeah, it's not the same as if everybody's fucking out there every goddamn day, every fucking hour to get their goddamn soup. Because yay soup. Because you got to put your fish heads in there and stuff. So
oh,
I don't know. It would be nice if for people that did consume both, if they didn't have to make a choice. But unfortunately, I don't think that that's ever going to be a thing. Not when it's not when they're different companies. You know what I mean? That's just, it's unfortunate.
But yeah, I mean, but just to be clear though, I don't think it's too far-fetched of a thing that's like, I don't think it really sits within the competitive realm. I think it sits more so within the incentive realm for them, right? Because one, I wouldn't think they would want to extend any longer than they have to during the drought. So, but sorry.
Well, no, you're right, because they're already on a schedule, and so to shift that can either extend some length between content or shorten it, and then you get weirdness, and I don't know.
Yep.
Well, hopefully soon we'll have pirates, and then we can. That means the alpha is going to be starting too, apparently, according to their thing.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot happening in the next couple months.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week. Thanks everybody for listening. You can check us out at serverrestartin.com, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.